Okay, you guys, welcome back. So today I wanted to share with you some of my fall book recommendations because it's now October. This is prime reading season. It's rainy, it's gloomy. This is my favorite reading season because reading inside while it's raining is just the perfect vibe. So these books are all books that I enjoyed reading during fall or would have enjoyed reading during fall, and there's different genres, and not all of them are technically fall themed, but they just gave me that like cozy feeling that I was looking for. So yeah, let's go through these. Okay, so first I'm gonna share with you some thrillers that I recommend and love. Thrillers are obviously perfect for reading during October. I'm going to start off with The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. If you're wanting to get into thrillers, I think this would be a perfect start because it's like a psychological suspense and it's so fast-paced and so bingeable. You could read this in one sitting. I really enjoy this one. This is the first Freida McFadden book that I've ever read, I think, and I really enjoyed it. And I believe all of her books are available on Kindle Unlimited, which is perfect because you can binge them all on your Kindle if you want. But yeah, this is about a housemaid who gets hired by this family, and she's like a live-in housemaid, so she has a room, but the door locks from the outside, and it just was very sketchy from the start, but then weirder things start happening with the people in the house. So yeah, I highly recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. Okay, so the next book is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This was such a good thriller. This plot twist I did not see coming whatsoever. I was absolutely mind blown. The entire time I had no idea what was going to happen. So I highly recommend this one, and the setting is like very kind of creepy and eerie, so I was honestly kind of creeped out while reading this. So it is perfect for October. Essentially, it's about a married couple who wins a like getaway trip at this house in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, and they're having like marriage issues, and the husband also deals with facial blindness, so a lot of crazy stuff happens. And that's basically all I'll say, because you definitely want to go into this blind, but oh my gosh, like one of the craziest plot twists ever you will not see coming. The next thriller I have is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, or Jillian, I don't know how to pronounce it. This book is actually one of my favorite books of all time, and it got me into reading a few years ago, and I still think about it to this day. So I definitely want to reread this one because it's seriously stuck in my head and it never leaves. So I can't say enough good things about this book. It's so fast-paced. It's so well written. Like, you do not want to put this book down once you start it. It's about this husband and wife, and on their 5th wedding anniversary, the wife disappears. And so it's told from the husband's point of view, and then there are diary entries from the wife's point of view, from the past, and like how it led up to this disappearance. And during this time, the husband is like being questioned, and some people think that he killed her or he had something to do with her disappearance. And so the whole time, you just have no idea how it's going to end or how it's going to play out, and it's truly so well done. One of the best books ever. I absolutely love this book. Okay, and then I actually have another book by the same author. This is Sharp Objects. Another book that I still think about to this day after reading it a couple years ago. This is another one of my favorites because I feel like with a lot of thrillers, they just get repetitive, but these ones are so unique. These storylines and everything is just so uniquely done. So if you take any recommendations for thrillers, take these ones because I can't recommend them enough. This one is definitely like a very like eerie, creepy vibe. It's about a girl named Camille, and she's a reporter, and she had like a brief stay at a psych hospital, and then she gets sent on an assignment back to her hometown because there are young girls being murdered, and she is a reporter, like I said, and she gets sent there to kind of cover the stories and see what's going on, and then she sort of gets like involved with finding out what's happening to them. And all during this time she's sort of facing things from her past and is just kind of like connecting things from her past, and it's just so good. The plot twist at the end of this book, I still am just so shook by it, and this is bringing me back to reading it, and now I want to reread it again because insane. Please read it. Okay, and then next I have some like romance slash fiction books. So first I have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I've only read a couple of her books, but I absolutely love her writing style. It's so like warm and cozy. I just love her writing, and this is a small town romance, and that to me just like gives a cozy fall vibe. So yeah, this is a small town romance. They live like very different lives. They meet one night because she gets like stuck somewhere in his town, and he ends up helping her out, and they sort of hit it off that night, and then they obviously have to separate and go back to their normal lives, but then it just kind of shows them reconnecting and then their story from there. But this is just really a wholesome love story that I still think about. It's one of my favorite romances ever, so I highly recommend this one for fall. I also just did a reading vlog with this one in it, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I had to put this one in there because this is like the epitome of a perfect October read. It is wholesome, cute, and cozy, and it has witches, so it really has everything that you could ever want in a fall read, so I highly recommend this one. I also have to include The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I absolutely adore this book, and it is just so cozy and warm and wholesome, and really, really perfect for this season. It takes place in New York, and she inherits a magic apartment and meets a man inside of it who is actually from 7 years in the past, and just seeing their story unfold and how everything comes together is just so, it was just so amazing. And this also deals with like deeper topics and like themes of grief and healing, and I just thought it was all done so beautifully. The writing in this is so beautiful, and I'm also planning on reading The Dead Romantics by this author hopefully this October, because I just absolutely loved this one, and I'm thinking I'm gonna love The Dead Romantics as well. But yeah, highly recommend this for fall. Okay, and then I have My Year of Rest and Relaxation. This is essentially about a girl who tries to forget the world and sleep for an entire year. So it's sort of like no plot, just vibes. There really isn't much going on, but for some reason it's so interesting, and like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. This book is definitely not for everyone because it is very odd. But the ending was super interesting, and it's just like a very different read, and it really is like perfect for fall time and like the gloomy weather. So I definitely recommend this one if you're looking for something different. Just like, don't go into it expecting like a happy story, because it is like pretty like sad, just the way that the girl is living, and she has a psychiatrist who essentially helps her do this and is just like super unhealthy. But the ending is just really interesting, so I recommend it for fall time, but it's not for everyone. Okay, and then I have The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I highly recommend these for the fall season because there's mystery involved. It takes place like in a mansion. There's like riddles and secrets, and it just very much gives a like fall vibe. So I highly recommend this series for fall. I've only read the first two, and I do want to get to the third one soon. But yeah, I overall enjoyed the first and second one, and I think that they're perfect for this season. Lastly, I have a few fantasy recommendations. Fall time is literally my favorite season ever to read fantasy. It's so perfect. First off, I have to recommend the ACOTAR series. This is literally one of my favorite series of all time, and I feel like everyone has read it, but if you haven't read it, this is your sign. Please pick it up. It is truly amazing, and reading it during the fall would be such a vibe. So I highly recommend it. There is 5 books out right now. This is the first one. It has everything you could want. It has fantasy, romance, high stakes, action. The characters in this series, I have never felt closer to characters like this, and they are just truly perfect. And I think about these books literally every single day, and I miss them so much. They are real people to me. So I truly cannot recommend this series enough. If you haven't read them, please read them this fall. I also have to recommend the Crescent City series as well, because anything Sarah J. Maas writes I will recommend because I'm obsessed with her. I'm currently reading the Throne of Glass series, and it's literally perfect for fall. So I have to recommend all her books because they are my favorite fantasy books ever. So the Crescent City series I absolutely have to recommend. I love this series. Definitely read ACOTAR before you read the Crescent City series, I would say. But I really, really loved these. These are more of like a modern fantasy, so definitely a different vibe than like the older fantasy. This has like phones and cars and stuff in it. So very interesting. This also has everything you could want in a fantasy. I won't say very much about it because I do feel like these books are talked about a ton, but just know that I love them so much and I'm so obsessed with them. And January cannot come soon enough for this third book. I literally cannot wait. Also wanted to recommend The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This is another fantasy I really enjoyed, and it has vampires in it. So the female main character is a human, and the guy in it named Rain, he is a vampire. So it's enemies to lovers. There is like a competition trial situation that also happens that's very like high stakes and dangerous. I just really enjoyed this one, and it was really like a fast-paced read and fast to get through, even though it is a longer book. But I did really enjoy this one. It wasn't like a 5-star series for me or anything, but I really did like it. And I did not love the second book as much as the first one, but I still recommend them regardless if you're looking for more fantasy this fall. And then lastly, I have to talk about it, even though I've been talking about it a bunch, so I won't say much, but I had to do Powerless by Lauren Roberts, one of my new favorite fantasy books ever. Please read it if you haven't read it. This is enemies to lovers, high stakes. This is literally everything you could want in a fantasy book. The banter and the angst and the tension in this book is one of my favorites that I have ever read. It has aspects of the Hunger Games, and it's just high stakes, very fun, fast-paced read. I can't wait for this next one to come out. So yeah, I won't say anything else about it because I know I've talked about it a ton already, but I absolutely adore this book. Okay, you guys, that's going to be it for my fall book recommendations. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on any of these books, or if you have any book recommendations for this fall. But yeah, I will see you in the next one.